Hi, I'm Jake. I make Pathfinder 2 videos, obviously, 2. That's why you're here. So this is the Exemplar class video for the playtest from Paizo. This is going to be awesome. Thank you for being here. First, I'm going to read you what Paizo thinks about their class and why you should play it. The Exemplar is Pathfinder 2nd Edition's first rare class, a charisma-based divine warrior possessing their own spark of divinity. Using the power of receptacles called Ikons, the Exemplar can move their divine spark between each of their icons to unlock potent effects and abilities. As your power grows, you create your own epithet that defines your immortal legacy. An epithet's basically just a title or an alternate name. Whether you become a cunning Exemplar, restless as the tides, and known to be a thief of moonlight, or a brave Exemplar, peerless under heaven and destined to be the last ruler of an ancient kingdom, is up to you. Players interested in playing a demigod destined for greatness and inspired by mythological figures like Maui, Cuchulainn, and Hercules, be sure to playtest the Exemplar. That's a little misleading. So, like, all the titles and stuff, they're separate choices you have to make as you advance your character. So, like, Thief of Moonlight is a thing you can choose, or Brave, or The Last Ruler. The most misleading thing is that it's a charisma-based divine warrior. For your starting ability score bonus, you get strength or dex. Your class DC is based on charisma, sure. And your spellcasting DC is based on charisma. But your spellcasting DC only matters, your charisma only matters for spellcasting if you take one feat and or the feats that build upon that. So you could just take the first feat that gives you a domain, or you could take the first and second and third feats that expand that domain and make you really cool, but it's still just that domain. So you're not like a cleric, you're not pulling a bunch of spells out your butt. It's a focus spell. Okay, so you're like a little cleric-y. Which kind of makes sense if you have a divine spark inside you. You can pull out, you can draw from it. I'm going to go over a couple of terms because if I don't, they're just not going to make any sense. And when I was reading this, I just sort of spaced out on what this was until I had something to relate it to. So I'm going to give that to you first. So an icon, I-K-O-N, is like a specially divinely imbued talisman of sorts that's personal to you. There are 3 types. At first level, you get one of each. Eventually, you can get one more. So the first one is body. It's something on your body. So it could be like long, magically golden hair, or it could be tattoos all over your body that you get more of when you accomplish certain things like Maui. I only know Maui from the Moana movie, but it's a good movie. The other 2 are something worn, like armor or a hat or a sash or sandals. And the other one is a weapon. So the weapon is really the only item that is represented by something that's a mechanic in PF2. So you'll pick a 0 level weapon and it'll be your special icon that's a weapon icon and it'll give you a special power. I'll go over those, but first, the next definition is Immanence. Each of your icons can be empowered, but only one icon at a time. And when one of your icons is empowered, it's you shoving your divine spark into that thing, and your will, your soul is powering that thing for the association that you have for it and giving you an ability. The abilities are different, I'll read those too. But that immanence is your divine presence in that item reflected to you. So those are abilities that are constantly in effect, and you can take an action to switch them to different icons. Cool. Transcendence. Transcendence is an action you take. I say action you take because it could be a free action, it could be a reaction, it could be 2 actions, 1 action. It's defined in each icon. But you do this activation thing, and that specific icon gives you a boost, a bonus, usually just for that round. It might be something like you can crack the earth, or you can carry a bunch more weight. I know that doesn't sound impressive, but it will when I get there. It's funny. So Transcendence, once you activate your Transcendence, that icon that had the divine spark That's the only one that you can choose to transcend. And as soon as you use the ability, your Divine Spark leaves that icon and goes to another icon. You get to choose it, but you can keep changing this every round. So basically you can use Transcendence on one icon that has your Divine Spark in it, so it's giving you its Immanence, and then you transcend, it jumps to another icon, which then it gives you the Immanence effect instead, and you can use Transcendence on that item, and then it can switch to something else. It's kind of weird, but that's the intrinsic mechanic in this class. Just briefly, Shift Immanence is a one action once per round thing that you do to shift the focus of your Divine Spark in one of your icons, so you change which one is being your Immanence at the time. This is such a weird word. And Spark Transcendence is the name of the ability that you use to activate your Transcendence, which then kicks your Divine Spark out of it and jumps to another icon. There's a lot to this class. It's sort of like as complicated as a spellcaster without any spells. So I'm going to limit how much I read about the feats. I will read some of them, but I'm going to list all the icons because they matter most. But also, there are epithets that you get as you level up. I'm only going to read the third level one in detail and then refer to the others. So the third level root epithet is what you decide you build your character on. This whole concept is you are a demigod or a sheltered deity that's trying to grow to deity status. And so you're trying to basically make your own religion based on who you are. And so you're choosing who you are with these magical titles. If you choose the brave epithet, you become trained in athletics. After you spark Transcendence, so using the transcendent abilities, of your body icon, that's one of the types of icon, your body carries you forward, allowing you to stride up to half your speed in a straight line towards one enemy of your choice. Not amazing, I know, but remember these are just like what you automatically get. So there's brave, cunning, mournful, and radiant. Cunning gives you deception, and then after you use Spark Transcendence in a body icon, you get faint as a free action. Okay. Mournful, you're trained in diplomacy. This was funny. When you spark Transcendence of your body icon, the act has a bittersweet poignancy to it, making one enemy within 30 feet dazzled as tears or memories dance in their eyes. This is a mental and emotion effect. What? Okay. And Radiant makes you trained in diplomacy. After you use Spark Transcendence in your body icon, you inspire an ally within 30 feet, you give them hit points. And they're temporarily immune to this effect for 10 minutes. What's interesting about this is it's not a healing effect. It says it's a mental and emotional effect, but they restore hit points. Which is a really simple way of saying that it affects negative healing people or undead or whatever by just restoring hit points, no matter what. Okay, cool. You continue to get automatic epithets, titles, that you choose as you level. At level 7 is the next upgrade. You get an extra name, basically. I'm going to read one of these to you, or at least tell you the abilities, because it's just so freaking cool. So you get Hefty Hauler with Born of the Bones of the Earth. You get Hefty Hauler, and the Immanence ability is when you critically succeed on a strike and the target of the critical hit is standing on a surface of earth or stone, it is driven down and mired in the ground. You peg people into the dirt. The target is immobilized and must succeed at an escape attempt against your class DC to end the immobilization. That's awesome. And its Transcend ability, Wound the World. It takes 2 actions. Your weapon pierces the ground below you and opens a jagged rift in a 60-foot line, permanently. It's difficult terrain. These are totally, like, yeah, myth and legend, but totally anime. Anyway, awesome. On to Icons, the main meat and potatoes of this class. First, just like generally how they work is your icons can be etched with runes, upgraded or otherwise modified as normal for items of their type. If you want to, you can even choose a magic item and make it an icon so that you can use your ability while you have the magical effect ability as well, like a Cloak of Displacement or something. So in that way, it's sort of like the implements of a thaumaturge. Anyway, it just reminds me of it. So body icons are what we're going to go over first. The first one I'm reading is eye-catching spot. It says a fetching beauty spot under an eye or a smile as warm as the sun distracts foes and captures hearts alike. When you're using the Immanence ability, enemies get -1 on melee attack rolls to hit you. That's neat. You can even be in melee combat and use that. That's cool. The Transcendence is captivating charm, 2 actions. You focus your attention on a creature within 30 feet, overwhelming their senses. They must succeed at a will save against your class DC or be fascinated by you until the start of your next turn. The condition ends if you use a hostile action, blah, blah, blah. So that's for, like, charisma pretty-based people. Next body icon, gaze sharp as steel. Your eyes glint with an almost tangible sharpness, letting you spot the tiniest dove on the horizon or the swiftest arrow in flight. Tangible sharpness from your eyes. Eye daggers. Okay. The Immanence ability is you get +1 to perception checks and +2 bonus on your AC against ranged attacks. Okay, it's useful, like, constantly. Transcend, a moment unending. It takes 1 action. You take in every moment around you, allowing you to react to things you ordinarily couldn't. You get Reactive Strike. Just until the end of your next turn. Sorry, until the beginning of your next turn. Which kind of sucks, because you have to know that you're going to be in a situation where you have to use Reactive Strike in the next round, and that it'll matter enough for you to use an action to get ready for it. That one seems a little difficult to use well. Next body icon, Scar of the Survivor. A scar on your body commemorates a time someone tried to end your story and failed, a testament to your resilience and fortitude. Okay. You get the benefits of the Die Hard feat and a +1 status bonus to fortitude saving throws. That's the Immanence ability. And then Transcendence is no scar but this. 1 action. Your wounds knit shut with hardly a scratch. You regain 1d8 hit points, and at 3rd level and every 2 levels thereafter, the healing increases by 1d8. That's it. There's no limit. So out of combat, you will heal very quickly. In combat, this can still be quite useful. Not like something you can rely on doing every turn, because as soon as you use the Transcendence ability, it kicks your Divine Spark out, making the Immanence also not usable, and you have to take an action to put it back in. So I guess you could actually do it every round if you're willing to spend an action to put your Divine Spark back into the Scar of the Survivor. But it's still just your wounds. Anyway, next body icon, Skin hard as horn. Tempered in your spirit, your very skin is as a suit of armor, though a single location on your body remains unprotected, a curse and a challenge within your legend. Yeah, Achilles. Yeah, okay. So the Immanence ability is you get resistance to either bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing damage equal to half your level. You can't change it after you decide what it is with this icon. It also doesn't apply to critical hits, because then they hit you in your Achilles heel, whether it's an actual heal or not. Transcend, crash against me. It's cool, it's useful. Your resistance increases to a value equal to your level until the beginning of your next turn. And during this time, if a creature fails a melee attack roll against you using a weapon dealing the same damage type as your resistance, or if they succeed and their damage would be reduced to 0, their weapon like clangs and vibrates off of you, and they get painful shocking through their body, so they get -2 to attacks with that weapon until the beginning of their next turn. The beginning of their next turn? Alright. On to weapon icons. Yeah, there's just that many of the body icons. I hope there are more, but even if not, some of these are quite useful. I like the idea of being able to heal yourself. That's cool. Weapon icons. First one is Barrow's Edge. You have to your icon, your weapon icon has to be a melee weapon that deals slashing or piercing damage to be able to make it your Barrow's Edge weapon icon. The Immanence ability is this weapon deals 1 persistent spirit damage per weapon damage die to creatures it strikes. Yeah, it's amazing. Ooh. Transcendence, drink of my foes. This is useful. 1 action. If your last action was a successful strike with this icon weapon, You regain hit points equal to half of the damage dealt. Yeah, that's great. Vampiric weapons. From first level. Nice. I like that. It's worth the crappy Immanence ability. I know, some of you are going to say it's not that crappy, but it's crappy. It's 1 point of damage. Fated shot. Your weapon icon has to be a ranged weapon. Your missiles shine as they fly through the air like falling stars. That's cool. Immanence. Your weapon icon deals 1 additional spirit damage per weapon damage die to creatures it strikes. Alright. Transcendence. Rain of 7 lights. 2 actions. You fire your projectile into the air with the weapon icon, which becomes a shower in a 5-foot burst within 60 feet. Each creature in the area has to make a reflex saving throw, or they take spirit damage equal to the normal strike damage with your weapon icon. So not just like 1 per damage die, you actually roll damage for that weapon, and they all take it if they fail their save. If your weapon icon has the deadly or fatal trait, and the person critically fails their reflex, then that trait still affects them. This is just neat, and this can make a lot of different builds really viable and fun. Oh, and you can choose before using this ability to give it the non-lethal trait, in which case reducing a creature to 0 hit points merely places them into a dreamless slumber. That's great! A rain of sleep arrows. Obviously, I like that one. I like anything that gives a new function or a new way to use something, so that's cool. Gleaming Blade. Weapon icon. Your weapon icon has to be any weapon in the sword or knife group to be able to use Gleaming Blade. This sword glitters with such sharpness it seems to cut the very air in front of it the faster it can be drawn. Immanence ability. Your weapon icon deals 2 additional spirit damage per weapon damage die to creatures it strikes. Cool. Gleaming Blade's Transcend ability is Mirrored Spirit Strike. It takes 2 actions. You make 2 strikes against the same target. If only 1 hits, nothing special happens. If both hit, then you add the damage together, and then you apply it. And it's all dealt as spirit damage. You add any precision damage only once, and it only triggers resistance and weaknesses once. It counts as 2 attacks when calculating your multiple attack penalty, so it's just like taking 2 separate attacks in that way, but if your weapon is agile, you don't get any negatives for the second attack. So again, at first level, this is useful. I love that you can take any of these at first level, and you're just like, have this weird special magical quirk. Next weapon icon, Noble Branch. Your weapon icon has to be any weapon in the spear or polearm weapon group, or the staff, bow staff, fighting stick, or kakara. I probably mispronounced that, but it looks fun. This simple stick-like weapon has a simplicity and elegance to it all its own. The Immanence ability is you deal 2 additional spirit damage per weapon die to creatures it strikes. Great. Noble Branch's Transcend ability. I hope they change the wording of this a little bit because it doesn't quite work the way it says it works. Anyway, Strike, Breathe, Rend. It takes 1 action. If your last action was a successful strike with this weapon icon, then the target of that strike takes spirit damage equal to your weapon damage dice. The part that's confusing is that it says the effect is you channel a pulse of energy down your weapon at the moment of contact. You're not at the moment of contact anymore because you have to use this ability after you strike. Okay, so maybe it's just flavor and they could change that and it doesn't mean anything, but it's not quite accurate. I know, I bitch about stuff. That's okay. Last weapon icon is Titan's Breaker. To use it, your weapon icon has to be a melee weapon in the club, hammer, or axe group. You wield a weapon whose blows shatter mountains with ease. Yeah, sorta. So, your weapon icon deals 2 additional spirit damage per weapon damage die to creatures it strikes. Constructs or objects are not immune to the spirit damage like it normally would because they might not have a spirit. And you also ignore any hardness they have. That's just a fun little thing. Transcend, Fracture Mountains. Takes 2 actions. I love the flavor text. Your spirit is so dense it takes on tangible force. I think that just means that you're a moron because you're dense. That's me though, so maybe it doesn't mean that. So this counts as 2 attacks. You make 1 attack, and you get a little bump to your damage. So the way the Exemplar works is you get additional flat spirit damage as you go up in levels. This increases the spirit damage flat amount to 4 plus an extra die of weapon damage. If you're 10th level or higher, it increases more. Again, constructs and objects are not immune to spirit damage dealt by this attack, and it ignores hardness they have. So it just does a little more damage. Yeah, okay, it can be maximized to be really useful, but God, that's boring. It's nah. Yes, it's technically, mechanically advantageous. Who cares? We don't play this system because we want mechanical advantages. Worn icons. This is the last icon group. Palisade bangles. Bracelets or bracers. These armbands, or bracers or bracelets, signify rejection and acceptance. Rejection of harm and acceptance of your inevitable dominance over your enemies. Rawr. The Immanence ability is a 15-foot aura. You and your allies get +1 to AC. It increases to +2 for anyone in that aura who's using a buckler, and +3 if they're using a shield. If they have a shield raised, sorry. Transcend, Embrace of Destiny. It's 1 action. So within your 15-foot aura, you can target an enemy, and they have to make a fortitude save. If they fail, you drag them up to the square next to you. Alright, I could see that be useful sometimes. Mostly it's just funny. The next worn icon is Skybearer's Belt. Yeah, you become Hercules, or Atlas. So it has to be a belt. This girdle wraps around your waist, magnifying your strength to the point you feel you could carry the sky itself. The Immanence ability is, it's an aura. You and any allies within 15 feet can carry 4 more bulk than normal before becoming encumbered, and up to a maximum of 8 more bulk. And you in particular can disarm, grapple, shove, or trip creatures up to 2 sizes larger than you. The Transcend is the fun ability that's just silly. So Transcend is bear allies' burdens. You move with a speed belying your strength, carrying your allies as easily as straw dolls. You stride. At any point you are adjacent to a willing ally, you can pick them up, and you can deposit them into an adjacent square at any other point during your movement. If an ally was benefiting from your Immanence aura, which is 15-foot radius from you, they do not count against your bulk limits while being carried during this move. So for 2 actions, it takes no extra actions, you could pick up 8 people around you, all within 5 feet of you. You just pick all of them up at once, and then you run 30 feet. Or more, depending on your speed. This is totally Hercules from the Disney movie, just like piling people on top of him. Okay, please take this. This is just funny. The next worn icon is Thousand League Sandals. The worn icon has to be shoes of some sort. Worn and trustworthy, your sandals have carried you this far, and they'll carry you much further still. It's again a 15-foot aura. You and your allies within that area get a 10-foot increase in your speed. And the Transcendence action is 1 action, Marathon Dash. You stride, and each ally within your aura at the start of your movement can also stride by spending their reaction. Yeah, it's good for tactics and not much else. But the constant 10-foot status bonus to speeds, that's awesome. The last worn icon, Victor's Wreath. It has to be headwear or some worn sash. Yeah, it has to be around your head. It's weird. This symbol of victory, whether a laurel worn around your head or a medal that hangs from your neck. Reminds you and your allies that victory is the only acceptable outcome. Okay, so you're a drill sergeant. This makes you a drill sergeant. The Immanence ability is you and allies within 15 feet get +1 status bonus to attack rolls. Cool. Transcend ability, 1 moment till glory, 1 action. Each ally in your aura immediately makes a new saving throw with a +2 status bonus against one ongoing negative effect or condition they are currently affected by, even if that effect would not normally allow a new saving throw. Freaking amazing! Why would anyone not take this? +1 to attack rolls and negate negative effects. Well, okay, by allowing them a better saving throw. This is great! Wow, you could really have a party full of these people and it would just be so hard for the GM to keep up. That's something that Paizo might need to know about this. That it is easily complicated for a GM if there are multiples of this person in your group. In fact, that might be one reason they chose rare for this class. So I guess as GM, I probably wouldn't allow more than one of these exemplars in my game at a time. Just because the way the abilities combo and you can do the same ability multiple times because you have two people that could take the same icon, it could be a little silly. Now I'm going to read you a few of the feats. I'm not going to read all of them because there's a lot, and also they might change. But also, like, you're just never going to get to 20th level as an exemplar unless you're starting at 20th level. For the playtest, it just seems unlikely. Anyway, I will mention a couple of those feats that are higher level though, because they're just BS to give you the idea of the theme of this class. The idea of this class is to break the rules of reality. First level feat. Sanctified Soul. All your exemplar abilities that deal spirit damage gain the Sanctified trait, allowing you to apply your holy or unholy trait to them to better affect your chosen enemies. That, we don't even know how much that's going to come up until the new rules come out. So Sanctified Soul's ability, meh. I mean, it could be helpful if you fight a lot of demons, devils. So situational. Twin Stars, level 1 feat. The requirement is that you have a one-handed weapon icon. Your divine spark embodies a primordial duality, and your weapon icon splits itself accordingly into 2 corresponding halves. You split your weapon icon into 2 copies of itself. These copies are identical except for one mirrored feature, such as a sun motif on one and a moon motif on another, and both have the twin trait. You can use it again to mash them back together. See? This is amazing, like, mythical video game anime stuff. First level feat, Vow of Mortal Defiance. This one's so impressive. You take an action to swear a vow against an enemy within 60 feet. The first time each round that you deal damage to that creature, you deal an additional 1d6 spirit damage. Ooh, no. Second level, Claim Initiate Domain, level 2 feat. I love this. You select any one common domain, a subject of particular interest or importance to you, from the list on page 39, Player Core, whatever. You gain the initial domain spell for that domain. So it gives you a focus spell. It works like focus spells. It says you can only have 3 focus points in your pool, so it seems like that limit is still going to be carrying forward after the revamp. But I love that you can choose any domain. Yes, it has to be something that theoretically applies to you. But you're making this character. You could even BS the domain of tyranny because it stupefies people. Because it's fun to screw over casters. Oh, I'm making an anti-caster build. So I've been researching that. The coolest part to me is that you can later take another feat that gives you the advanced domain spells, and you can keep getting more spells from that domain by taking feats here. It's just neat. I could see people taking the archetype of this for a lot of reasons. Like, even if it's just one icon, they're so flexible and versatile. Or they're not flexible or versatile, but there's so many different options that almost anybody can choose something that will help. Another level 1 feat. What? That's a typo. This should be level 2. Leap the Falls. Reinforcing your legs with divine energy, you can leap the battlefield as powerfully as a salmon clearing a waterfall. You get powerful leap and quick jump skill feats as the Immanence. Interesting? So this feat just gives you an Immanence, M&Ms, but not on any particular icon. This is just like your own innate Immanence. My favorite level 2 feat. My favorite low-level feat, I think, besides domains. Oh, it's a hard choice. Okay, well, this is awesome, though. Thorns of Mortality. By channeling your divinity into a creature along with a strike, you can disrupt their ability to recover. Your weapon icon gains an ability. The Immanence ability, well, the additional Immanence ability that it gets, is by channeling your divinity into a creature along with a strike, you can disrupt their ability to recover. Your weapon icon gains an Immanence ability that when you hit someone, barbs or thorns dig into their body to prevent healing. When they would regain hit points, for any reason, it must make a will save against your class DC to determine the effects. And then the barbs dissipate. The barbs also dissipate after a minute. So the best effect is critical failure. They don't gain hit points. But I'm just picturing the barbs and thorns inside someone's body because of this. Every time you hit. This is the Immanence ability. You don't have to kick out your divine power from it because you're using a Transcendence. This is just constant. You could call yourself like the Thorn Knight. This is something that you can build an entire theme on. It doesn't have to look like these either, but I don't know, I'm picturing Hellraiser now. That's a little disturbed. I love Hellraiser movies. 4th level feat. Hurl at the horizon. This is for every barbarian who's ever wanted to throw their great axe. Now you can. Your weapon gains the thrown 15 feet trait or increases its thrown distance by 10 feet. If it already has the thrown trait. You can throw your battle axe. Whoop did frickin' do. Level 4 feat, only the worthy. This is Mjolnir. Yeah, they did a lot with Thor. They also have one that you can shoot lightning. So, yeah, Thor. They also have one that's a Rainbow Road. You can teleport with Rainbow Light. Apparently they, I don't know, Marvel? Popular. Might not have been a bad idea. So anyway, the level 4 feat, only the worthy. You can release either your worn or weapon icon, and it remains motionless and can only be moved if 8,000 pounds of pressure are applied to it, or if a creature uses athletics to force open the icon with DC equal to your class DC. But it takes an action to do this. So it's not an immovable rod. You can't just like toss it in the air and say stay. It takes a full action. I love that they predicted how people would use this freaking feat. It says, you can release your icon over an adjacent prone enemy to hold them down with the icon's motionlessness. While so released, you can't use the icon, obviously, but the enemy must succeed at the athletics check to stand or to move. The icon automatically flies back to your hand when the effect is broken, or if you spend an interact action to hold out a hand and draw it back. You're Thor. You could totally make Thor. Like, that's not even a complicated build anymore. Take this, you're Thor. I love what this next feat implies. Level 4 feat, Through the Needle's Eye. Requirements, your weapon icon is a ranged weapon. Your shot flies with the perfection your will demands. Transcend, Blinding of the Needle. Takes 2 actions, make a strike with your weapon icon. If it's successful, the target becomes blinded for 1 round, or until they use an interact action to clear the blood from their vision. It just sounds like you shoot them in the eye. But they didn't want to say that because then, well, that eye's gone. And then you do this twice and they're blind. Like, permanently. Forever. Because arrows through your eyes are kind of hard to recover from. I like that one. It's flavorful. Yes, hello. Okay, I'll mention briefly a couple of other powers. that are feats without going into too much depth. So at level 10, I know, high level, I don't usually go this way, but as a reaction, if a living creature within 30 feet would die, you spiritually grab them from the edge of death and pull them back. They heal 5d8 hit points, and they get +1 to saving throws and AC for a round. It screws you over for a little bit because you can't use your Divine Spark for the next turn. You can do it once per day, but they don't get the wounded condition from this. They just heal. There are so many special, flavorful, weird, unique things here. Like you gain permanent flying, or you turn into a werewolf. I'm not kidding. Or your arrow, when it strikes a target, turns into a bunch of snakes that grab them. Or my favorite one, I'll read to you one of the 2 level 20 feats. A place beyond mortality. Once per day, if you have at least 1 focus point in your focus pool, you have to have the claim advanced domain feat, like I told you about. You cease aging, and when you would die for any reason, you can immediately expend all your remaining focus points as a free action that can be taken at any time and regardless of your current condition to survive at 0 hit points. You purge yourself of any negative conditions. When you do, and that includes wounded of course, or drained, when you do, you heal yourself for half of your total hit points, stand back up in your current square, instantly summon your weapon icon to your hand, and shift your immanence to any of your icons. This is the BS. You have to try harder, Hercules or Thor or whatever. And then they get this surge of energy, which makes no freaking sense anywhere except as an Exemplar. Yes, you can do the BS. The inspiring music starts and the hero goes back into the fray. Somehow. So obviously, they have a lot of interesting abilities. I didn't go over all of them, but basically that's it. It's fun, it's flavorful, it's really focused on one kind of campaign, or rather, one kind of character. I get why this is rare, because the abilities are special and unique. But because the abilities are special and unique, a lot of people are going to want to play this, because they can live out their fantasies of being a superhero or a mythological figure. That being said, I like the Animist more, but it's because of the flexibility and the spirit things. I just love that. And they get more spells. Still, it's totally fun. I think it's fun. You play, you try. Tell me if it's fun. Thank you for being here. And thank you to our patrons. I know I keep saying I can't do this without you, but I'm just grateful you're here. Thank you for your support. Our patrons get to participate in a monthly giveaway. Loot's Choice, you might have seen it. And also, the highest level patrons get one-on-one time with me once a month, and I also make something for them, basically anything they want. Go to Patreon, link in the description, you can see all the tiers and see what it does, see if you want it, or see if you just want to help out. If you want to make sure to catch the next video I make, hit the subscribe button, obviously. It's a good way to just use a bookmark in YouTube. Like, I think that's what most people use it for, but it's handy for that. And if you've liked this, give it a like, comment, share, all that stuff, to tell the algorithm gods, who must be exemplars, that the videos here are at least interesting, at least a little bit. Anyway, if you would like to see build videos, you click here. If you would like to see the other playtest video, here. And thank you for being here. Mwah.